Most women are waiting for a man to say the words. But the truth is, a man who is falling in love will show you long before he ever says it. The question is, do you know how to read what he is showing you? Welcome back, my dear. I'm WisdomAuntie, and today we are going to talk about something that I believe every woman deserves to truly understand: how men fall in love. Not the version we see in films, not the dramatic declaration or the overwhelming rush of feeling. The real process, the one that happens quietly, through behavior, through time, through small and consistent choices. Because when you understand this, my dear, you will never again misread a situation that matters to you. Let me describe something I know many of you have experienced. You are seeing someone. Things feel good, genuinely good. He shows up consistently, he enjoys your company, he reaches out, he remembers things. And yet, he has not said anything definitive. He has not used the word love. He has not clearly named what this is. And so, in the quiet spaces of your own mind, you find yourself asking a question that is hard to voice out loud. Is this actually going somewhere? Or am I reading more into this than is really there? And because you have no clear answer, you begin to do what so many women do. You start looking for signals. You analyze his messages. You replay conversations. You compare what he does with what he says and try to figure out which one to believe. You might even try harder, being more available, more affectionate, more generous with your time and your heart, hoping that if you give more, something in him will open up and give you the clarity you are looking for. My dear, I want to offer you something better than signals and analysis today. I want to give you a real framework, one that will help you understand not just what he is doing, but why, and what it actually means. And here is the thing most people never tell you about this. Men and women tend to fall in love through very different processes, and when a woman does not understand a man's process, she will almost always misread where he is and what he feels. I want you to understand something important about how love tends to develop in many men, because it is genuinely different from how most women experience it, and that difference changes everything. For many women, love begins with an emotional opening. There is a moment or a series of moments where something inside opens up and says, yes, this person matters. The feeling comes first, and then the behavior follows. She invests because she feels. For many men, this process tends to work in reverse. The feeling of love, the deep, certain, undeniable sense of, I want this person in my life, often comes after the investment, not before it. A man who is falling in love does not always begin with a feeling. He begins with a choice to keep showing up. And through that repeated, consistent choice, the feeling deepens into something he cannot imagine being without. And this is important. This means that in the early stages of a relationship, a man's behavior is often a more honest indicator of his growing feelings than his words are. If he is consistently choosing you, with his time, his attention, his presence, his effort, he is likely in the early stages of falling in love, even if he has not yet found the language for it. Think of it this way. Many men process and express love through action rather than declaration. When he fixes something for you without being asked, when he remembers something important you mentioned weeks ago, when he rearranges his schedule to spend time with you, when he introduces you to the people who matter in his life, these are not small things. These are the language of a man who is investing. An investment, for many men, is love in the process of becoming. There is also something worth understanding about vulnerability and timing. For many men, saying the words, I love you, requires a level of certainty and vulnerability that feels very exposed. Saying it is, in a sense, an act of surrender. an acknowledgement that someone has become important enough to hurt him. Some men need to feel very secure before they will say that clearly. This is not evasion. It is the way vulnerability works for a great many men. Now that you understand why this happens, let me help you recognize it in your own life. Pay attention to this. There are specific signs that tell you a man is falling in love, not through what he says, but how he consistently behaves over time. The first sign is that he begins to prioritize you without being asked. His time is one of the most honest things a man can offer, because it cannot be faked or manufactured. When a man who is falling in love starts rearranging things, his plans, his free time, his energy, to make room for you, that is not convenience. That is a choice, and consistent choices over time are the architecture of love.
The second sign is that he begins to include you in his future, naturally and without prompting. He mentions things you should do together next month. He references something you said and applies it to something happening in his life. He starts to think of himself in terms of we rather than I. For example, when a man says unprompted, "I think you'd love this place, we should go," that kind of forward-thinking inclusion is a man whose emotional world is quietly expanding to hold you in it. The third sign is that he becomes protective of your emotional well-being, not in a controlling way, but in the quiet, attentive way of someone who genuinely does not want you to be hurt. He notices when you seem off. He asks follow-up questions. He remembers things that were difficult for you and checks in on them later. A man who is falling in love pays attention to the texture of your inner world. The fourth sign is that he makes himself emotionally available in moments when it costs him something. A man who simply enjoys your company will be present when it is easy. A man who is falling in love will show up during the harder moments, when you are struggling, when things are complicated, when being present requires more than just good chemistry and good timing. And the fifth sign is consistency over time, not perfection, not grand gestures, simply the sustained, reliable presence of a man who keeps choosing to be there. That consistency, more than any single word or moment, is the truest evidence of love growing. So, what does this mean for you, practically, for how you move in a relationship where you are trying to understand what he feels? I want to offer you something grounded. The first thing is to shift your attention from his words to his consistent behavior. You can choose to ask yourself not what has he said, but what does he consistently do? If his behavior over time shows investment, presence, and choice, that is real information, regardless of whether he has named it yet. The second thing is to give the process time without losing yourself in the waiting. One of the most common mistakes women make when they like someone deeply is to put their own lives on hold while they wait for him to catch up emotionally. You can decide to continue living your life fully, your friendships, your joy, your growth, while the relationship develops at its own pace. A woman who is full and grounded is not just healthier in this season, she is genuinely more present and more real in the relationship itself. The third thing is to communicate your own needs without issuing ultimatums. If you need to know where things are going, you can say that clearly and calmly, from a place of genuine self-knowledge, not from fear or insecurity. Something like, "I really enjoy what we have, and I want to be honest that I'm someone who values clarity about where a relationship is heading." That is not pressure. That is self-respect in communication. The fourth thing is to pay attention to whether his investment is growing over time, not whether it is perfect, but whether it is moving in a direction. A man who is falling in love will deepen. His interest, his attentiveness, his inclusion of you will increase over time, not stay flat or diminish. If you look at where things were 3 months ago versus today, and the answer is that nothing has deepened, that is honest information worth sitting with. And the fifth thing is to trust yourself enough to know what you need from love, and to hold that standard with kindness and without apology. You deserve a love that is clear, consistent, and growing. Understanding how men fall in love is not about lowering your expectations. It is about reading the process clearly so that you can make a wise, informed decision about whether what you have is truly becoming what you deserve. This is not about him anymore. This is about you. The real lesson here is not simply about how to read a man's love. The deeper lesson is about the relationship between patience and self-respect. Because they are not opposites, my dear. They are partners. You can be patient with a process while still being clear about what you need. You can give love room to grow while still holding a standard for how you deserve to be treated during the growing. I want you to understand something important. A woman who learns to read behavior over words does not become more passive, she becomes more powerful. She stops chasing declarations and starts watching actions. She stops performing and starts observing. And from that place of grounded observation, she can make decisions about her relationships that come from clarity rather than fear or hope. The question to ask yourself is not, does he love me yet? The question is what I am watching consistently and over time the behavior of a man who is genuinely investing in me? And if the honest answer is yes, then give it the time it needs. And if the honest answer is uncertain or no, then that clarity, however uncomfortable, is something you can work with. You deserve a love that is growing toward you, not one you have to constantly wonder about. A man who is falling in love will not always say it first, but he will always show it. Learn to read what he does, and you will never again have to guess what he feels. Thank you for spending this time with me today, my dear. If this video helped you, please share it with a friend who needs to hear this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care of your heart. In the next video, we are going to talk about the signs that tell you he sees you as a long-term partner versus someone he simply enjoys for now. If this video opened your eyes to how men fall in love, the next one will show you exactly what it looks like when they have. Don't miss it. The link will be right here.